Hello, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube. I'm Oliver Says, and today I'm reading Pegasus Rescue Brigade story, Shipping and Handling. So, let us begin. This is the last straw! The bulky brown Pegasus slammed his front hooves down on the desk so hard, Ditsy-Doo feared it would split in two. He positively glowered at the grey Pegasus, his face just inches from hers.
I'm sorry, boss.
Ditsy mumbled, shrinking back a bit.
It won't happen again?
Her apology was phrased more like a question. All right, sure, that's believable. The larger Pegasus snorted, twisting his black baseball cap haphazardly. I mean, what are the odds of Ditsy-Doo screwing up another delivery? I mean, that never happens. Ditsy winced at the harsh sarcasm in her superior's voice. Still, she managed to work up the nerve to ask the inevitable question.
So, how much are you gonna dock my pay this time?
She began, trying her best to focus both her eyes on the angry pony in front of her. The other Pegasus slapped a hoof to his forehead. Ditsy, what you're not getting here, he barked back. It's bigger than that this time. I mean, you have the lowest successful delivery rate in the history of Cloudsdale Mail and Freight. You're constantly losing letters or delivering them to the wrong locations. Your sense of direction is so bad, it takes you 5 times as long to get anywhere as it would for other Pegasuses. Heck, a hazard to pedestrians sometimes. You're lucky that purple unicorn did sue us that one day when we were delivering the piano and all that other junk. Ditsy winced at the memory, and sunk even lower in front of her furious boss.
Well, what do you want me to do, sir?
She squeaked.
I'm trying my best.
Then your best isn't good enough for this company, the stallion roared. Ditsy groaned and slumped fully to the floor, covering her head with her hoofs as if she feared being struck. Seeing that he'd taken his verbal abuse a bit too far, the larger Pegasus softened a bit and lowered his voice. Get up, dear, so I'm not going to hurt you. Peering up with one large yellow eye, Ditsy hesitantly rose back up to hover at the height of her superior. Right, now, the brown pony searched for a less harsh way to speak his mind. Ditsy, I know we kind of hard you on special considerations, with your little disability and all, but in all honesty, you need to at least live up to basic requirements that come with being a mailman. He glanced a little sympathetically at the dejected grey Pegasus. I've given you a lot of second chances now, he continued, but I just don't think our reputation can take any more, so I think we're gonna have to let you go.
What?
Ditsy's crossed eyes went wide with panic.
But I need this job. I've got little Dinky to take care of at home. After her father and the accident. I'm the only one she's got for support right now.
The other pony hid his eyes beneath the brim of his hat. I know that, and that's why I've been so lenient with you before. But today was different. The larger pony's eyes turned angry again. It was a letter from freaking Princess Celestia, Ditsy. That sort of thing needs to arrive at the correct location, and it needs to arrive on time. Her decree to solve the situation in Manhattan arrived 6 hours late. And by then the rioters had destroyed a lot of private property. Don't you know we're gonna get charged for that, Ditsy? We are. Again, the boss made an attempt to control his anger. Now, you see what I mean here? He grumbled a little more gently. I gotta do what I gotta do. Cloudsdale Mail and Freight needs to conserve what little reputation it has left. If I don't fire you now, they're gonna be all over me about it. It's pretty much out of my hooves. Ditsy opened her mouth to respond, but couldn't manage to say anything. Her head swam with unfortunate memories. Accidents and errors that could have been avoided had a more professional pony been given the job. Defeated, she just looked sadly at her superior, and then floated over to collect her things. Hey, if it helps at all, the brown Pegasus mentioned, I won't dock anything from your last paycheck. In fact, I'll even throw in a little goodbye bonus for you. You know, a dozen extra bits or so.
Thank you, sir.
Ditsy tried to smile, but her mood was betrayed by the tears welling up in her eyes.
Have a good afternoon.
With a final sigh, she made for the door, bumping into the doorframe on her first attempt to exit.
Lousy depth perception.
She grumbled as she flew outside into the open air of Cloudsdale. The bright, beautiful day in the aerial city contrasted with the aura of gloom surrounding the grey Pegasus. A few other Pegasi watched in concern as she fluttered haphazardly by grumbling to herself.
I can't believe this.
She moaned out loud as she descended from the Pegasus capital towards her home on the ground.
So we get lost a couple of times and bam, out the door.
She thought about that.
Well, more like a couple of times a week, actually.
She brought her forehoofs to her face, rubbing her misaligned eyes.
It's these blasted eyes.
She yelled to no one in particular.
I can't help with my directional judgment and depth perception and face recognition and reading skills and all those things are so poor. I think I function pretty well for a Pegasus who can't see straight.
Wiping the last of the tears from her face, the dejected Pegasus flew home, thinking ahead to the grim task of searching through the help wanted section of today's newspaper. Fast forward!
Mom!
Ditsy burst through the door of the cottage, brandishing a colourful paper with her mum's magic as she scurried inside.
Look what I made in school today!
Ditsy looked up from the newspaper she was struggling to read to smile at her eager filly. Dinky proudly levitated her prize in front of her mother's face, holding it at the angle that she had learned made it easiest for her mum to see the details clearly. Ditsy glazed at the filly's crude but colourful drawing. In the background there was a small building that was identifiable as their cottage, with various flowers growing around it. In the foreground stood two ponies, a larger Pegasus and a smaller unicorn, both coloured in shades of grey. The drawing wasn't greatly detailed, but Ditsy could tell it was a picture of Dinky and herself. The sky behind them was bright blue, adorned with a rainbow, which was coloured nicely, despite the fact that the colours were in the wrong order, making it to look just right.
That's a very nice drawing, Dinky,
Ditsy said as light-heartedly as she could. Dinky retrieved the paper, smiling at her success, then her smile faded when she looked at her mum again.
Mom, is something wrong?
Ditsy bristled. Her mind worked furiously to create a convincing lie so that Dinky wouldn't be concerned.
Just a little problem I ran into this morning.
The Pegasus responded, smiling at her little filly.
Nothing for you to worry about. Something went wrong at work again, didn't it?
Dinky continued, frowning. Dang! That unicorn could be too smart for her own good sometimes.
Well...
Ditsy stammered.
Yeah, there was a little mishap, but it's really nothing to get worked up over.
Dinky put her front hooves into the couch, glancing at the newspaper before Ditsy could put it away.
Want ads?
She asked skeptically.
Mummy, you didn't lose your job, did you?
Ditsy thought fast, not wanting to upset Ditsy.
I'm just thinking of maybe switching jobs, that's all.
She lied.
Things are getting hectic at work, yeah.
If Dinky suspected anything more was amiss, and she probably did, she didn't show it. The filly trotted up to her room to do her assignments for the evening. Ditsy sighed in relief and went back to scouring the newspaper for any jobs she was qualified for. One small ad in the corner of the page caught her eye. Equestrian Speeding Shipping Rate Services. Equestria's #1 shipping service looking for new employees. Previous experience preferred. Located just outside of Ponyville. Please visit us to apply.
That sounds perfect.
Ditsy thought.
I've shipped plenty of freight to every city in Equestria in the past. I think I could handle a job here. And the best part is, I have a clean slate with my new boss. Maybe I could be a better mailmare this time.
Grinning widely, Ditsy hastily scribbled down the details for tomorrow, and then rose from her couch to prepare dinner. Fast forward! Shoving the remnants of her muffin-based breakfast into her mouth as she flew, Ditsy arrived into the quiet streets of Ponyville. Squinting at the address she had written, she flew through the streets looking for the location. It took longer than she had thought to find the place. She'd been looking for a large, noticeable office or a glossy delivery building. Instead, she found herself at what looked like a slightly run-down old establishment, rammed between a long string of small businesses and an old warehouse. Ditsy suspected the warehouse was probably used as a storage building for freight the company transported. Ditsy checked the address number, and it matched the one she had copied from the newspaper ad. There was no sign on the door, but she supposed it didn't matter. The Pegasus pushed open the door. The first thing Ditsy noticed after closing the door behind her was a low amount of light. A small window on one side of the room was the only light source, and the shadow of the adjacent warehouse blocked the a lot of light as well. The walls were bare, and the room was totally empty, save for a long counter which absolutely nothing was sitting save for a service bell. A door on the wall behind the counter read, "Officers." Ditsy wasn't surprised. She never heard of this place. It certainly didn't look like a big deal. If the reception room was any indication, it probably wasn't a very wealthy company. Ditsy pondered if a little service like this could even be considered a business competitor to the nationally renowned Cloudesdale Mail and Freight.
Beggars can't be choosers, I guess.
Ditsy said aloud, and faced by how humbless the new place seemed to compare to her old place of employment. She flew up to the counter and rang the little bell. Then she waited. One eye focused on the door to the back, while the other scanned the bland room for any further details. The door creaked open, and a male unicorn peered out, his eyes falling on Ditsy. "Yes, ma'am?" he asked in a clearly uninterested voice, not bothering to bring any more than his head forth from the back